Seorang wanita lansia berumur 64 tahun ditemukan oleh kakaknya sendiri terbaring mengenaskan tanpa busana di atas tempat tidur. Dan semua bukti yang ada di TKP malah mengarah ke dua bocah kembar ini. Lalu bagaimana bisa polisi menyimpulkan kalau kejadian sekejam ini berkaitan erat sama mereka? Selamat datang di Dimensi Arsip. Ini adalah kasus Sheila Denise Tenpenny. Kasus ini terjadi pada tanggal 2 Februari 2025 di Fairfax, Ohio. Tapi pas nyampe rumahnya, Daryl menemukan adiknya udah meninggal dunia di atas kasur dengan kondisi tanpa busana. Di momen inilah, Daryl langsung nelpon 911.
Okay, hold on. What's the location of your emergency?
3919 Germania.
It's 3919. What was the street name?
Germania. And Fairfax.
Yeah.
Yes. I think my sisters might have been murdered and her door was open.
How old is she?
She's 62. 63.
Okay.
63. 62, 63. She's got her head covered with a pillow, her legs exposed, and she's been stripped naked. And might be some blood. I don't know.
Okay.
She did not respond when I yelled at her.
Okay.
I didn't see anything. The door was open a couple inches. She don't leave her door open.
Okay. How long ago
I didn't touch
you spoke with her?
yesterday.
Yesterday? Okay. Do you want to try CPR?
No, her head, she is unresponsive and her head is covered with a pillow like they smothered her or something.
Did you see anybody inside or does she live alone?
No, she lives alone.
Begitu polisi sampai di lokasi, polisi langsung mencurigai kalau ini adalah kasus pembunuhan karena menemukan banyak bercak darah berceceran, cairan pembersih, dan kepala korban tertutup bantal. Polisi pun langsung mengamankan TKP dan memintai keterangan lebih lanjut dari Daryl.
I didn't get that today. And if you look, I sent her a message a little after 11. I said, "Are you skipping?"
Yes, I see it.
And I didn't get a response, which is a little odd. Then I tried calling her and I didn't get a response. And I thought maybe she forgot her phone. I hope she didn't fall or anything like that. And I need to go to her house and see what's going on. When I seen her car there, I knew she didn't go anywhere because I thought, well, maybe she took off and went shopping and found her phone. She's done that before.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why she's not answering. To knock on it like that,
Mm-hmm.
I always do that.
The front door?
Yeah, the front door. And as I did it, the door went open.
It's just open.
It just opened. And I'm like, that not good. Hopefully she's like working on something and busy working or whatever. Then when I looked in, I seen her legs on the bed, no movement. She's not saying anything. And when I looked, it looked like somebody had ripped her pajamas open and covered her face up with stuff that smothered her, probably would be my guess.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell she'd been, big.
Di waktu yang sama, gak cuma Daryl, adik perempuan korban beserta dua keponakannya juga ikut dimintai keterangan. Di interogasi ini, mereka yakin banget kalau Sheila pasti sempat memberikan perlawanan. Dan benar aja, dari hasil olah TKP, polisi menemukan DNA laki-laki di bawah kuku korban, yang menunjukkan adanya kontak fisik antara Sheila dan pelaku. Selain itu, polisi juga menemukan sebuah jam tangan asing yang tertinggal tepat di bawah jasad korban. Tapi pas jam tangan itu ditunjukin ke keluarga, gak ada satupun yang mengenalnya, yang bikin polisi makin yakin kalau pelakunya bukan dari pihak keluarga.
Watch the familiar.
To me, it sounds like, just from watching like cop shows and stuff over the years. To me, it sounds like a targeted attack. It was somebody that she knew. Not that I would know who it is, but
Right.
because normally when you see something like that, and I don't know if there was anything stolen or not, but everything it seems like everything was there. You guys found her laptop, her phone, her tablet, and that was said when we were here.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the types of things that somebody was robbing. Easy to grab, easy to get out. And that's why I think it's somebody she knew.
Akhirnya, polisi mulai menyisir para tetangga dan memeriksa rekaman CCTV sekitar.
We're with Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation. We're here about what happened last Sunday down the street. And we're trying to talk to everybody in the area.
Sayangnya, rekaman CCTV gak nangkep pergerakan mencurigakan apapun. Dan para tetangga juga mengaku gak melihat hal aneh. Sampai pada akhirnya, langkah polisi terhenti di sebuah rumah yang berada tepat di depan rumah Sheila, yang bernama Becca. Nah, disinilah polisi mulai menaruh curiga sama salah satu anak Becca. Soalnya Becca mengaku kalau di hari kejadian, dia sempat buru-buru mengantar anaknya ke rumah sakit karena dicakar kucing.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
How are you? Good. Sorry, my kids are inside and I have not told them about what happened.
gotcha. Yes, totally understand. We're with Ohio BCI. I don't know if you talked to anybody yet or know who you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
How well did you know?
Pretty well. Just like, she would come out whenever she was not working or if it was like the weekend and really friendly, always saying hi. And she's really close with them. She's really close with everybody over
Yeah.
there. So they're only like 13. So
Okay.
Both of them are 13. Oh, you got twins.
they're actually going to be 14 next month.
Oh.
And were they home with you that night?
So I don't know when it actually happened. I know that we saw like the trucks on our cars or whatever on Sunday. So actually Sunday morning at like 6 a.m. We had to run to the ER because my son, the cat, I guess, was sleeping on his face, and they startled each other in the dark.
Oh
And
man.
it scratched him, and so we were worried that it could be bad or infected.
Is
So
he okay?
Yeah, he's fine.
Okay.
It wasn't a big deal, but it was just like traumatizing, and I was like, everybody
Yeah.
get in the car.
Polisi kemudian memastikan cerita tersebut dengan mengecek rekaman CCTV rumah sakit. Dan ternyata rekaman itu memang memperlihatkan Becca dan anaknya berada di sana. Tapi ketika polisi melihat kondisi luka anak tersebut secara langsung, mereka mulai melihat adanya kemungkinan lain. Begitu ketemu, kecurigaan polisi makin menguat setelah melihat bekas goresan di wajah Louis serta jahitan di hidungnya. Tanpa mengulur waktu, polisi langsung meminta izin ke ibunya buat meminta sampel DNA dari kedua anaknya.
Strange request. We're asking for DNA from
Okay.
people.
Sure.
It's used for elimination purposes only, so it's not entered into like fancy database or
They've already had for
criminal
like
stuff.
DNA testing for their for like medical for
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a Q-tip
Yeah, this-
in the mouth real quick.
yeah. So they're already in a database somewhere.
Okay. Perfect.
Sekitar 10 hari kemudian, hasil laboratorium akhirnya keluar dan menunjukkan kalau DNA yang ditemukan di bawah kuku korban cocok dengan DNA milik Louis. Berbekal bukti kuat ini, polisi langsung membawa Becca dan kedua anak kembarnya ke kantor polisi untuk diinterogasi secara terpisah. Di sini, sang ibu kelihatan sangat gelisah dan panik. Berbeda sama ibunya, Hunter justru bersikap jauh lebih tenang. Sedangkan si bocah ini malah lebih santuy cuy. Sempet-sempetnya dia makan sebelum diinterogasi. Sambil nunggu dia selesai makan, polisi menginterogasi Hunter terlebih dahulu.
I imagined, what if Louis made up the story of the cat scratching his face, and then what actually happened was like, oh, he snuck out at night and did that horrible thing. But that was just like, I didn't actually believe that that's something you could do. Like after I imagined that, I was like, no.
Pas giliran Louis diperiksa, bocah ini tetap ngeyel dan enggan mengakui perbuatannya.
So you said you've never been in Denise's house, never been. Okay. Do you know what DNA is? You ever heard of it?
I've heard of it.
Okay. So we're trying to figure out, and I want you to help me explain this, okay, why your blood would be in Denise's house. That's what we're trying to figure out.
Well, I'm not sure. Because, I don't know, like, how is it my blood? Like,
That's what we're trying to find out.
because I don't know why it would be in my house. I mean, her house.
I don't think you're telling me all the truth.
What? But I'm not lying.
Well, I think you're about how you got hurt.
I what?
I think you're lying about how you got hurt. That's
Wow.
my opinion.
Like I said before, anything's possible.
I understand that, but now we're talking in vague terms, you know? So I need specifics.
I don't know, I doubt that that's a possibility, that I would be defending myself because I wouldn't be in that house in the first place.
Di tengah pemeriksaan, penyidik kemudian memperlihatkan salah satu bukti penting, yaitu jam tangan asing yang ditemukan di bawah jasad korban. Begitu foto itu ditunjukkan, baik sang ibu maupun Hunter langsung mengkonfirmasi kalau jam tangan itu memang milik Louis.
You recognize that?
That's Lewis's phone. That's Lewis's watch.
Lewis's watch?
Yeah.
Okay.
They also want to know if you guys have ever seen this watch. Does this look familiar to you guys?
Yeah, that's Lewis's watch.
Lewis's watch?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you.
I'm Special Agent Ward with Beast Bureau Criminal Investigation. You see two of my colleagues here. I have a colleague. And we've been asked by the city of the village of Fairfax to investigate this case of Denise Painten's murder. Okay? Yeah, this is something I'm going to tell you that we have that I've had. Okay? All right? That watch that we showed you was under her body. What? Yes.
No.
Walau tanpa adanya pengakuan dari mulut si bocah ini, rangkaian bukti yang ditemukan polisi kini mengarah kuat kepada Louis. Mulai dari DNA di bawah kuku korban yang cocok dengan DNA Louis, bukti darah yang menghubungkannya dengan lokasi kejadian, hingga jam tangan miliknya yang tertinggal tepat di bawah jasad korban. Tepat setelah proses interogasi ini, polisi kemudian mengantongi surat izin penggeledahan untuk menggeledah rumah Louis. Dari sinilah terbongkar fakta lain soal latar belakang bocah ini. Di kamarnya, polisi menemukan catatan serta riwayat pencarian yang kemudian menjadi bagian dari bukti penyelidikan. Dari pencarian tersebut terungkap kalau Louis melakukan riset mengenai pembunuhan, termasuk hal-hal yang berkaitan dengan cara mencekik seseorang dan bagaimana menemukan korban yang tepat. Dalam pencariannya, nama pembunuh berantai terkenal seperti Ted Bundy dan Jeffrey Dahmer juga ikut muncul. Dan pada akhirnya beberapa bulan setelah kejadian, kasus ini resmi masuk ke meja hijau. Di persidangan, Louis akhirnya mengaku bersalah atas 3 dakwaan, yaitu pembunuhan, masuk ke rumah secara ilegal, dan mencekik korban. Karena saat melakukan kejahatan usianya baru 13 tahun, kasus ini diproses melalui sistem peradilan anak. Setelah mengaku bersalah, Louis kemudian ditempatkan di Department of Youth Services sampai berusia 21 tahun. Artinya, dia bisa berada dalam tahanan remaja hingga sekitar 7 tahun, sebelum nantinya bebas saat mencapai usia 21 tahun. Dan buat kalian, tetap jaga diri, stay safe di jalan, sampai ketemu di kasus berikutnya. Bye!